a teenager decides to kill his father. The government says, you know what? Maybe this was self-defense. And then he kills his mother. And the state says, you know, maybe it wasn't self-defense when you killed your father. So we're going to charge you with the death of your mother. And he says, well, but see, she fell on the knife, is what happened. Put it up full mass, true story. Yep. Catherine Griffith, 39, was discovered by police stabbed all the way through the back of her neck in Florida after her son called 911. The 17-year-old said that they had a fight, which means motive, and his mother accidentally, quote, his quote, fell on a knife and died. Before too long, deputies learned this was not his first victim. Less than 2 years before, he fatally shot his father in Oklahoma, once in the head and then again in the neck, and walked away scot-free from murder charges, claiming that was actually self-defense. Officers, nothing to see here. This time, he's in custody. Polk County Jail, being held on charges of first-degree murder, kidnapping, violation of a no-contact order. Brian Haas, state attorney for the 10th Judicial Court of Florida, is now considering prosecuting him as an adult. It's on his mind. He's thinking it over. We literally had to activate a national movement to stop an attorney general from charging a child, a Black child, in a school fight as an adult. This prosecutor is saying, well, you know, I'm thinking about it. Double homicide here. He manipulated authorities, got away with it, would have still been free if he didn't decide to kill his mother and come up with a ridiculous story. But you bought the first ridiculous story.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
It's important to understand when you look at this, you see a kid. That's what the sheriff said. Let me say that again. The sheriff said, it's important to understand when you look at this, you see a kid, said Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd during a recent press conference, holding up a photo of the teen. Quote, when I look at him, I see a psychopath. The 911 call came September 8th from the suspect's grandmother's house in the Hamptons Golf and Country Club, a 55 and over mobile home community an hour away from Orlando. The teen said his mother fell on a knife after they had a long fight and was bleeding from her neck. Quote, he used similar language to when he made the 911 call 18 or 20 months earlier when he shot and killed his father, stated the sheriff. When deputies arrived, the suspect met them in the front yard and reportedly showed no emotion. Quote, he was calm, cool, collected, not upset, and had blood on him, said the sheriff, adding that he immediately requested a lawyer and stated that he knew his right. I mean, he's basically a professional. He knew exactly what to say. Police recovered a bloody 12-inch knife from the home, but noted the crime scene was, quote, neat and clean with no apparent evidence of a fight. As authorities began to dig into the teen's past, they were shocked to learn about the separate, violent killing of his own father, Mr. Charles Robert Griffith, on Valentine's Day 2023. On Valentine's Day 2023, the teen was arrested in Oklahoma after he told police that his dad pulled out a knife on him, so he shot him to death. He was charged with murder in the first degree, and according to the arrest affidavit, he was released home with an ankle monitor after his mother posted a $50,000 bond. Within less than a month, all of the charges were dropped because the DA's office, quote, could not disprove his assertion of self-defense. The most ridiculous thing I've ever heard from a prosecution. Griffith's neighbor told the local station, Fox 4, she had moved to Florida to escape an abusive relationship with her ex-husband. After the murder charges were dropped, the teen was sent to his mother's home in Florida. The trouble quickly followed. His grandmother told detectives there had been many instances of verbal threats and physical abuse toward his mother, including multiple death threats. Reported USA Today, by September 2023, he had been hospitalized under the Baker Act, which allows for a temporary detention for a mental health evaluation. After his release, Judd reported that the child remained or said, quote, I'll kill myself or I'll kill my mother by shooting or stabbing her, which prompted another 3-day detention. In November, he allegedly attacked his mother for taking away his video game privileges, Judd said, adding, quote, he pushed her to the ground and stomped on her, end quote. There's more. Facing jail time, the teen tried to say that this alleged murder wasn't self-defense, or that alleged murder wasn't self-defense, but his grandmother, who witnessed the attack, refuted the story. He later made another threat to his mother's life on the 14th, 2024, February, the 1-year anniversary of his father's death. Now, I want you to notice a pattern before I continue. This is like a holiday killer here. The first killing takes place on Valentine's Day. He then makes a chilling threat on the anniversary date of his previous murder. He then proceeds, according to the report, 1 year after, in the days leading up to the killing, Judd, the sheriff, said the teen argued with his mother about home chores and fled to his grandmother's house, who was in the Florida Keys and not present at the time. After Griffith caught up to her angry son and brought him home, 2 days at the mobile home community, a fight broke out, according to witnesses who say the teen grabbed her by the hair, dragged her into the house in front of witnesses. Quote, let me go, Griffith desperately told her son. Within the span of 2 hours, she was dead. He's shown zero remorse since being in custody, opined Sheriff Judd. If enough evidence is found during the mother's murder investigation, Judge said authorities in Oklahoma will reopen the closed murder investigation into the teen's father's death. The irony of this, the sheriff said, Oklahoma is telling me if we find enough evidence in this murder, they may open up the investigation again into the previous murder. Wait a minute. You are a separate and independent investigative authority. Why do they have to wait for you to find a murder that's unrelated in order to look at their errors for the alleged murder that took place in their jurisdiction? Why? This makes no sense. What happened to the press conference? This won't be tolerated in our community. We're going to make an example out of individuals like this. What happened to those things? The warning signs were there. You see, here's the reality. Oklahoma knows good and damn well that they are de facto co-conspirators in the murder of this mother. Because if they would have done their due diligence and prosecuted this case as they know in their gut they should have, this mother would likely be alive today. He would still be free, have gotten away with murder, if he did not have to murder his mother, according to the allegation. Dear brother, this is a hell of a story. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are actually, it's ironic, but Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner used the exact same defense
That's
at their
right.
trial. They said he slipped and fell on the knife in the back of their head. That's literally the defense that they used. The fact that they have the caucasity to use this defense to begin with, the fact that we see a pattern, the fact that we have the idea that this person may be tried as an adult when you see 12-year-olds and 13-year-old
Yep.
African-American alleged criminals being tried as an adult for less than murder. On top of that, we also see the pictures of this gentleman where he's a good kid, see him as a child, and yet we saw a victim such as Trayvon Martin murdered, and we saw that thug gun picture. There's an unfairness to it. There's a privilege to it. And that's what the problem is. We're not saying don't try him as a criminal. We're saying try everyone equally.
That's
This
right.
would not have happened had you done your job the first time and not just said, well, he looks like me, so he must be like me.
That's right. And I want to say this for those who may want to opine and disagree with me in the chat. I want you to imagine a world where a Black teenager kills their father, admits to killing the father, and the prosecution decides to just let it go because they can't disprove a self-defense proclamation. It is a hell of a thing for a prosecutor to even say such madness. We will continue to follow this story.